What's going on, guys? Day 7, 31 days of value. What a day to be alive. Now, listen, guys, it's Sunday. One of the things that I do is I wake up early. I have 2 kids. We go up to like 11 p.m., sometimes 12. But in this season of my life, I have got to wake up early. I need that quiet time in the morning. I need that time to think, reflect. As hard as it is sometimes to wake up early, I always feel rewarded for doing so. And that's just because the chaos of the day, once 8:30 hits during the week, it's kind of like you're in a baseline fight or flight mode. So for me, like that time period of like 5:30 to 8 o'clock is 2.5 hours of deep work, deep thinking. And I want to share with you like what happened today, right? So 5:30 in the morning, woke up. Obviously, I do my own kind of like prayer time, relaxation time, and then it's deep work time. Then I'm on the computer, I'm cranking, right? And I want to share with you, and the topic of today's conversation is about taking ownership for what the heck is going on in your business. And one of the things that I discovered was that my leads from a specific Facebook ad campaign, this is no fault of the team that runs my Facebook ads. This was my fault because I went in there and made an adjustment to the form 2 weeks ago, and I forgot to zap the data into Drip Jobs. And for 2 weeks, I was like, where are all the leads? Like, this has just felt so weird because we never run into a situation where we are that low on leads. And, I rely heavily on Drip Jobs to not only get the lead, but follow up with the lead. So didn't even cross my mind. But I'm like, let me check on my Facebook ad campaign, see how they're doing. And I go in there and I'm like, why does it say we have 17 leads? And I'm like, that does not match what's in Drip Jobs. And come to find out, because I made that adjustment 2 weeks ago on that form, I didn't connect that form specifically to Zapier, which means none of those leads were being followed up with properly. Okay, so I want to unpack this a little bit because it's a very important topic that I want you to kind of grasp on day 7 of the 31 days of value. Is number 1, you need to take full ownership of everything that's going on in your business. Some of you guys are letting people run your ads and you haven't even spent time inside of the ads manager to understand what it is that they are doing. I want you to know that you can fully run your own ads. This isn't rocket science. Most of us do this because we're too busy, we haven't made enough mistakes, and we want to ride the wave of momentum of an agency that specializes in this, which is a good investment. It's a good trade-off, okay? But that's no excuse for you not knowing what the heck is going on, okay? And I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to that have had a poor experience with a vendor, and chances are it's because you didn't understand what it is that they were doing and you couldn't audit their process, right? So taking full ownership of everything in your business, it reminds me of my first boss, my true first boss. He was Tony. He was the owner of a sushi place, a Chinese guy. And this guy, and I was 17 years old, he hired me. I mean, they were hard-nosed. It was hard-nosed football, man, in that sushi restaurant, dude. Like we're talking one of the strictest places I've ever worked. It brought in that Chinese work ethic culture. They taught me so much about work ethic and business. And I mean, it was a master class. Rest his soul, man. He passed away. He had a brain tumor. But I'll never forget the principles that this man taught me. And as a 17-year-old, seeing the way that this man ran a business was just incredibly intriguing to me because he was an immigrant from China, came in, started a sushi restaurant, which became like the number 1 restaurant in our city. But what was interesting about him is that, he started off as a cook and worked his way up through the ranks. That was his, trade as he was a kid. He was a cook, and then he became a chef, and he started a restaurant. But one thing about this brother was that he could do anything in that restaurant. He would find himself at the hostess stand seating tables when the hostesses were crumbling with the pressure. He was up there with a pencil and paper and erasing things, and you got hordes of people. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those Japanese steakhouses where, you're sitting 20, 25 people at a time. Well, that's where I worked, and that's the biggest part of the offer that he provided was, you can serve a lot of people, but at that hostess stand during the night, things got crazy, right? And then you'd find them serving tables if we were busy. And then you'd find them rolling sushi if the sushi guys were busy. And you'd find them cooking in the back with the team if the team was busy. And then you'd find them at the end of the night helping with inventory and, just like everything you can think of. He'd troubleshoot the POS system, right? So if the POS system was breaking, he'd go in there and fix the POS system. If the refrigerator or the freezer was breaking or the ice machine was breaking, he would go in there and fix it. And there's so much power to the fact that, like, the business owner never relied on anyone. He had the choice to. Now, like, if he wanted to hire a repair person, he certainly could, but there were a lot of things he could fix on his own. And is he special? No. Is he a supernatural? No. Like, he just cared about his business, and he had a desire to learn and figure out every element of his business, because he understood that anything that he is dependent on someone else for, that's a vulnerability for him in his business. So in this instance, for me, it probably would have been 2 more months before I would have recognized that these leads weren't coming into drip jobs, right? And sometimes we get lazy when we hire people and we expect everyone to do everything for us. But I decided today, hey, let me audit what's going on. Let me look into my ads. Let me see what they're running. Let me see what the audience is. And this was my fault because I switched the form. I'm a little more advanced where I can make small tweaks and changes, right? And my marketing agency doesn't kill me. But I knew I made a mistake, and then I didn't wait for someone to bring that up to me. I just noticed something was off, and I saw it, and I immediately was able to fix it. And then I went into Zapier and I tweaked it, right? This is just one element of the business. And I think as a business owner, it's important for you to be versatile in all areas of your business. You need to know a little bit about everything. And that goes for if you're a contractor and you're selling home services, understanding a good amount of the production side of your business. I know there's a lot of people that want to start painting businesses and start home service businesses and start all these different businesses, but they have no desire to really learn the art of the trade. They just kind of want to sell it. And that to me is a big red flag, because if you don't understand how it works and how fast it should be done and what the expectations are and what problems can go wrong, and you're just focused on the sales, that puts you at a vulnerability because you don't know how to manage and audit the results. It puts you in a vulnerable position. Think about Tony, my boss. Guess what? He could taste food coming out of the kitchen and know that it was wrong. Like, are you that on top of it as a business owner? I mean, I think the sexy thing nowadays is to be completely removed from the business, and I fully understand that. But that needs to be earned, right? Like, go through the struggle of being a painter in your business if you have to do that. Be that painter. That's what I was. I spent 6 months with my team as the crew leader. I was painting. I was getting my hands dirty. And I can't tell you how much that has served me from a sales standpoint, from a management standpoint, from a relational standpoint, from an empathetic standpoint of not only making sure that I understand what expectations I'm putting on my team, but those expectations are realistic. So again, like, being versatile. So you should know a little bit about how your ads work. You should know how to run a Facebook ad. Like, let's say it hits the fan and you have to fire your marketing agency because they burned you in some way, and maybe you don't have $3,000 to $5,000 to put into another marketing agency, what are you going to do? Not get leads? No, that's where you cut costs and say, you know what? I'm going to run this crap myself. I mean, it's really not rocket science. It's not that hard. I mean, it's really not. I mean, all it requires is your time. All it requires is your energy, your effort to figure out how to do it. So understanding your marketing, understanding your CRM. I mean, I can't tell you how many people treat the CRM like it's like a hobby. Like, dude, like your CRM is your business. Once again, this is why I'm so passionate about what I do with Drip Jobs, is because the CRM is the business. Like, that's the central hub for everything. So it's like you should learn how to maximize that CRM. You should learn the ins and outs. You should learn how it works. You should learn how Zapier works. You should learn the triggers and the different automations that are built in Drip Jobs. We have an automation built in Drip Jobs that automates whenever someone views a proposal more than 5 times in a 2-week period, right? So that means that they're higher intent. And then we trigger a message to our sales or estimator to do a follow-up, to do a reach out, okay? Guys, this is how you maximize, is understanding how, again, these things work. And you should know production. You should know what it's like to be a manager. You should know what it's like to be a painter. You should understand how painting works. These are things that, again, this isn't the sexiest topic here. You know, everyone wants to delegate and go. But sometimes it's important for you to understand where your vulnerability is, where your skill set. And I know that there's some for everyone, right? You should understand how to properly estimate, right? And especially you painting contractors out there, you should understand how production rate estimating works. You know, some of you guys are still, you know, shooting from the hip on your pricing. That is a vulnerability, because if you ever get someone else to do estimating for you, okay, you're screwed. Production rate estimating is a way to estimate regardless of feelings. It's just measurements, it's data, right? And that is how you make your estimating agnostic. You make it to where it's like, it doesn't matter who's doing it. It will come out to be the same price, okay? That's a vulnerability. You should learn branding. You should have a good idea of like branding and what messaging goes out to your customers, like how it looks, how it feels. You should get good at Canva. You should explore these different elements of your business. There's so much to do, you know? So you got marketing. You should understand administrative. Like, you should care about the phone greeting. Like, you should stop answering the phone like, hello, like, it should be like, thank you for calling Premium Painting. This is Tanner. How may I help you? Right? So why do you do that? Well, you do that because when someone else wants to do it, you know how to do it. Like, you know how to teach them how to do it. And that's important. Whatever your standard is going to be the standard of the people that you hire. You should learn hiring. You should learn recruiting. You should learn interviewing. I mean, there's so many elements of business. So with that said, I had a vulnerability today, and I was able to fix it. There was a leak, and I was able to stop it. And I want you to think about any leaks that are going on in your business, and I want you to be hyper-focused on stopping those leaks, because those leaks turn into floods, and those floods, they make us feel like the game is over, and we never want to get to that point. So with that said, I want to encourage you to be the jack of all trades in your business. Understand it deeply. Go into the fight if you have to, and try to understand each element of your business. I would write down each element of your business. Marketing, okay, here's a line. Facebook, what else do we do for marketing? Angie, Facebook, and then understand, like, how well do I know Facebook ads? Okay, how well do I know Angie? How well do I know Google ads? What's going on in my Google profile, right? Where's my website located? Here's another one. Where does that live? Who has the login credentials to my website, right? That's a big one. And what happens to my website leads? You know, where do they go? There's so many vulnerabilities, and focus on that. That's my day 7 for you. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope it benefits you. Tomorrow's Monday, and we're going to crush it. So thank you guys for listening. Happy Sunday. Enjoy it with your family, your loved ones, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.